Hello everyone, welcome to Miss Stories. Today on the channel, we will look at the story of how abandoned bride takes a job as a house sitter for a paralyzed millionaire. But on her first night, she gets a surprise. Marina looked around nervously as she walked toward the store. She kept counting the change in her hand. She was worried that she didn't have enough for bread and milk. There were still 2 days before her paycheck, and as luck would have it, the money was almost gone. Stopping at the entrance, she took another look at the money she was holding in her hand and went inside the store. It wasn't that she was ashamed to show her change. She just didn't want to look like a laughingstock if it suddenly turned out to be not enough. She didn't have to choose, and Marina took the cheapest loaf of bread. Then she went to the rack with dairy products, and looking at the prices, nervously biting her lip. She only had enough for a small bag of cheap milk, where only half a liter. Remembering her cat, the girl decided that these 2 days they would somehow get by. With the selected products, she headed toward the cash register, clutching the coins she had counted out beforehand in her fist, so as not to hold up the line. But then, whether on purpose or by accident, she was elbowed by one of the customers. Change jingled out of Marina's hand. The cashier, seeing how the girl picks up the coins from the floor, angrily said, "You brought this on my head. Now, I'll wait half a day, and then count it for you." At this point, the store manager appeared. "What is going on here? Why the queue?" Pointing to the girl, the cashier almost shouted, "That's who is holding up everyone. Came here with his pennies and shaking over everyone." The director silently bent over the girl and began to help her collect the coins. Then a bracelet on her arm caught his attention. Putting his palm on it, he asked softly, "Where did you get that thing? Maybe you stole it. Tell me honestly, I won't call the police." Marina cried and sharply pulled her hand away. "This is a memory of my mother. How dare you say that? You have no heart at all. If you're ready for some cue to peck a man." Lifting her by the shoulders, the director said, "Come into my office and tell me everything there." The cashier wanted to say something, but in response, she saw the threatening glare of the director. She immediately put the milk and bread in a bag and put everything under the table. In his office, the director asked the same question again. "Where did you get that thing?" Marina, realizing that they would not let go of her, through her tears, muttered, "My mother gave it to me when I turned 18. She told me to be careful and not to sell it in any case. Now my mother is not around and I live alone. I keep this gift as a memento of better times." The director stepped aside and said, "Okay, I believe you, but keep in mind that stealing someone else's is a sin, and that's what. When you leave the office, take your groceries from the cashier. You don't have to pay anything for them. Consider that I gave you a gift too." Marina surprisingly looked him straight in the eye and asked, "You are such a kind man, but I feel somehow embarrassed, because I do not even know your name." From embarrassment or shame over her behavior, the principal had red spots on her face. With a tremor in his voice, he replied, "My name is Nikolai Vasilievich, and as it happens, you should introduce yourself as well." Smiling, the girl replied, "And I'm Marina. That's the name my grandmother gave me. My mother wanted to call me Luda, but that's also good." The director in response also softened his anger for Mercy. "Fine. It was a pleasure to meet you. And now we have work to do. If you need anything, come in. We'll make a substantial discount for you." Marina thanked me once again for the products and left the office. The cashier looked at her unhappily, but said nothing. She only gave her a bag with milk and bread. Already on the street, the girl exhaled a little. What a day. As if fate throws me a challenge on purpose. Looking around, Marina playfully slapped her hand on her forehead and went home. Her favorite cat was waiting for her in the apartment. "Hi, my good. Why are you so sad?" Holding out his hand to her, Nicholas said, "I just saw you walking down the street with a sad face. I thought I should come up to you and cheer you up. How would you like to go to a cafe? Just do not think anything bad. You are my daughters." Well, he said the word he was most afraid of. Marina, strangely enough, did not push him away and accepted the invitation. Half an hour later, they were sitting at a table near a window. Nikolai needed to find out urgently how that bracelet had gotten to her. So as not to push, he began from afar. "As I understand it, you do not have a mother. And what about your father? He communicates with you." Marina shook her head. "No, because I've never seen him. In any case, my mother never said anything about him when she was alive." Nikolai's heart prickled. "Is it really my daughter? And I treated her like that? But it was only a guess." An expertise was required, and to do it, he needed DNA samples. "Just brought coffee and dessert. Help yourself. I really like sweets. I do not know how you do, but I drool at the sight of cream cakes." Marina brought a saucer of dessert to her and said, "And you guessed my preferences. I also do not refuse sweet things if, of course, there are opportunities to buy." Nicholas realized that he had touched upon an uncomfortable topic for her. "Well, what are you saying? There will be many more moments in your life when sweets become commonplace. I'm sorry I'm talking too much. I just don't know what topics you're interested in. Why don't you tell me about your mother, what her name was, why she passed away?" Marina took a handkerchief out of her purse and put it to her eyes. "Again, you make me cry, but it seems that we can't do without it until we have a heart-to-heart talk. My mother's name was Ludmilla, and 4 years ago she was diagnosed with a terrible disease. It required expensive treatment, and so we had to borrow money. We fought for a long time, but unfortunately, the disease did not recede. Information received from a friend coincided with what now said Marina. Not only that, her mother's name again reminded him of the past. His first love was also named Ludmilla. Everything was was going 1-to-1. Now it was just a matter of taking DNA samples. Nikolay was already rejoicing inwardly. He was facing his own daughter, about whom he knew nothing at all. At least, that was what he was thinking right now. While Marina went to the lady's room, Nicholas carefully put her spoon into a specially prepared bag and asked the waiter to bring another device so she would not notice anything. After the cafe, Nikolay walked Marina home. She went into the entrance hall, and he stayed on the street and kept looking after her. Everything seemed to coincide, but if this is Ludmila's daughter, then the accommodation is in a completely different place. When they had met when they were young, Luda lived on the other side of town. Anyway, not to guess, Nikolay gave the DNA samples for examination. He thought that his guesses would be confirmed. And early on, emboldened by such news, he began to treat Marina in a fatherly way. And if at first he was cautious, then he began to visit often and bring full bags of groceries. At first, Marina was perplexed why she was so generous, but then she got used to it. It seemed to her that the store manager was doing this out of the goodness of his heart. True, since the conversation in the cafe, she never bothered to ask if he had a family. Nikolay acted as if he already knew that this was his own daughter. He was thinking about how he could provide for her and help her get a job, was to make her his assistant in the business. The coveted results were a week away. Nikolay, to unwind a little, invited Marina to his home. There he boasted a posh library and a collection of rare coins. At dinner, Marina openly said, "You know, Nicholas, if my father were here now, then I would not have to experience all the hardships of life. My mother, before she passed away, wished me a safe journey. Only I must have lost my way." Noticing the tears on her face, Nikolay Vasilievich held out a handkerchief. "Here, wipe your face. No need to think about it. All the difficulties are behind us. I myself will make sure that you do not need anything." Marina wiped her tears and said, "It's good that you helped me, but I do not understand one thing. Why do you need it?" Nicholas almost let it slip, but in response said, "I just have a good soul, so I help." That day he did not want to open the cards, but already with his heart, he felt that the expertise will confirm their relationship. When he had the cherished envelope in his hands, he thought for a long time whether to open it or go to Marina and there in front of her to do it. But something inside him told him that he should read the results beforehand. Having opened the envelope, Nicholas began to read. A lot of information that meant little to him he missed, and only when he got to the last line he almost dropped the envelope. Marina was not his daughter, and for the first minutes Nicholas was silent. He could not believe that fate had punished him so cruelly. At the same time, he himself had not acted in the best way with Ludmila. It seemed to him that she was not suitable as a wife, so he left her without even giving her a chance to explain. What does he want now? To fall into the hands of an unexpected gift. So it has appeared, only it is necessary to dispose of it correctly. After all, fate has brought him together with Marina for a reason. After thinking for a minute, he made what he thought was the only right decision. Arriving at Marina, Nicholas gave her an envelope. "Here, it says that you're not my daughter. I'm sorry, but I knew your mother did not say anything. I thought that you were the fruit of our love of youth, but it turns out that I am not your father. But if you forgive me and accept me as your own, I will consider you my daughter. I've had no children, as fate has so punished me. Now the word is yours. As you say, so will be." Marina was at a loss, and it took her a good 5 minutes to gather her thoughts. Holding out her hand to Nicholas, she said, "Let it be as you want it to be. I also dreamed of my father, and I don't want him to disappear as suddenly as he appeared. That's good. I'm overwhelmed with emotion, but I'm glad it happened that way. So it is that it was your mother who tried and introduced us. Now I'm going to do everything I can to make up for my mistakes. I have a daughter, and that is the most important thing." A little later, Nikolay Vasilievich resolved the issues with debts, and now Marina owes nothing. Together they went to Ludmila's grave, and soon, as Nikolay had planned, his daughter became his main assistant in business.